In this video, I'm going to show you how to build an AI agent with real-time internet access using SERP API and Perplexity. If you've ever wondered how to give your AI the ability to search the web for the latest information, even beyond the training cutoff of models like ChatGPT, this is the guide for you. You'll learn how to integrate with various platforms like SERP API and Perplexity to create a dynamic, internet-aware AI agent that can gather live search results and take action based on the data that it finds. But first, I wanted to give you a demo of how this system actually works. So you can either have this agent run on a schedule and run at the same time every morning or once a week, or you can have it run on request, putting in a request in Slack, Telegram, in this chat channel right here. So really wherever would be the most convenient for you, all you have to do is request the agent to perform some specific actions and it will search the internet and perform any research for you. So I'm just going to pull up this chat trigger and I already have something inputted in here. So I'm going to say what are the top 5 trends in my industry, what regulatory changes are impacting our industry this week. Also tell me about my competitors this week. So I'm telling my system that I am an employee for Microsoft and it should understand my industry and research what any of our competitors could be. So I'm going to put this in. Now the system is going to run in the back end. It's going to take just a second to run Perplexity, SERP API. So Perplexity is going to be searching for the latest trends in any news. SERP API is going to look for any of my competitors and all that information. So it just finished running and the output that I had this agent send me a message through was Slack. So imagine if your team is using Slack internally or maybe Teams or email, you can have it perform any channel that you would like. So if you want your message to be sent on Slack, Teams, you kind of get the point. So if I come over to my Slack channel, I have it in a customer service channel for whatever reason, but you can see from the agent, we have the industry trends, regulatory changes, and competitor updates week of December 3rd through the 9th of 2024. So it's coming up with the top 5 industry trends. So TSMC's Arizona facility, they're opening a 40 billion US expansion, producing advanced node chips. Intel's dependence on TSMC, Samsung's foundry troubles, Supermicro's potential delistings. So we also have the regulatory changes. So US AI regulations. As you know, Microsoft is, getting into the AI space or has been getting into the AI space for quite some time now. So this is a very important piece for us, or for if I were to actually work for Microsoft. But US AI regulations, final rule expected in December 2024. We have competitor updates. So we have Amazon, other major tech companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google. It didn't find any specific updates found for this specific week, but we can have it tailor this automation or this agent to go back and find the most recent news. So it's basically just providing us any amount of research that we're asking it for. So all we have to do is just put into some chat, whether we want this to be deployed on Slack or just within N8N, and put it into this chat right here. And it'll provide you with those results going through Perplexity and SERP API and coming back to you with these results and generating them pretty much instantaneously. Also, if you would like to run this on a schedule, as I said earlier, this would make it even easier. So you can have these reports ready for you and you could do a whole bunch of different things with these reports. So you can have it sent to emails. You can summarize these reports even further and notify, relevant party members. But you kind of get the idea of how this works. So let's get into how we can actually build this out. Quickly, I just wanted to preface that the problem with most AI models like ChatGPT and Claude, they're pretty powerful, don't get me wrong, but they're also limited. So GPT, it's only trained on data up to a certain cutoff point, and it can't fetch live real-time information from the web. So this means you're going to miss out on latest trends, updates, and insights unless you want to spend your time researching manually. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to build an AI agent that listens to your request through any input like Slack, email, text, or even you could run this on a schedule so that it runs every morning or once a week, as I said earlier. And it'll also decide dynamically whether to query Perplexity for industry trends, and we'll use SERP API for competitor analysis, or even both. Next, it will just retrieve and process the data into a clean, readable summary with sections, headlines, and other relevant links. Then finally, as you saw, it'll send the final output back to Slack, or you can use any other channel that you would like, ultimately ensuring that your team is just in the loop. So whether you're tracking industry trends, keeping tabs on your company or competition, or just doing both, this AI agent will save you hours of manual effort and keep you ahead of the curve. Nick Peru here. I build custom AI solutions for businesses that increase your bottom line and save you and your team hundreds of hours. So if you're a business owner and you want to automate your operations to drive revenue and create operational leverage, you can apply to work with us with the link down below in the description. And if you're looking for all my resources like the templates to the system and all the other agents and systems I've built out, you can find them in my community, where we also work more closely with you and give you more in-depth tutorials and a community of like-minded individuals. Links for that is down below. Now, getting started, we're going to first set up our tools, which is going to be Perplexity and SERP API. As you can see, I already have them connected, but how you can do this is once you have your agent built out, and I'm using the tools agent. So if I close this out and if I go to add node, tools agent can be found right here. And I'm just selecting tools as opposed to any of these other ones like the SQL, React agent, and so on. So I'm going to delete this. And all you have to do is just click on tools, and we're going to include call N8N workflow tool. So within here, this is going to call a completely separate workflow, which I will show you right here. Now, this is allowing us to call Perplexity. And the reason why I had to use a completely different workflow is because Perplexity isn't natively integrated within N8N. So we just have to use an HTTP request to call Perplexity. Okay, so we're going to work on building our first workflow, or the separate workflow, I should say. And the first step you'll want to do is add a execute workflow trigger. Now, what I did is basically provide a example query. If you don't know how to pass variables between two different workflows, so passing data from this workflow into this separate workflow, check out one of my recent videos going over how you can actually pass that data through and allow your agents to talk to one another. So once we have this in here, we're then going to be inserting an HTTP request. So what I did here, you can just copy and paste exactly what I'm doing. We're doing post because we're posting all of our requests and everything into Perplexity. So do a post, use the URL endpoint of api.perplexity.ai/chat/completions. We don't need any authentication, but we will be sending some headers. So with the headers, you're going to have to grab your API key. If you don't know how to grab that, what you'll do is you'll come into Perplexity. I'll go back to the start. Once you create an account, it's free to set up an account. You might have to add $10 to actually use the API. But once you create your account, you'll go to settings, you go to API, and you'll see it down here below. Okay. Now, once you grab that, you're just going to paste it straight into here, but that's after typing out bearer. This is very important to precede your API key. Otherwise it will not work and it won't call your specific API properly. Below that, we're going to be sending a body. Now the body is where we're going to be inserting our prompt and inserting whatever we want into Perplexity. So for example, if I come back to home and I'm typing out, I need you to do research. So that's kind of an example of our prompt. We're basically putting that into this HTTP request, and that's going to come from this prior workflow. So we're going to have to, or we're only going to be able to build out partial of this prompt right now. So for the time being, just copy and paste this. I'll have this all linked into my community where you can get this exact prompt for putting into and calling your Perplexity. But you could also get this from the API documentation that Perplexity offers. So what I'm saying here is I'm giving it the content of you're a helpful assistant who must look at the input and act accordingly. So this is essentially the same thing as me copying this. This is the same thing as me putting this in here. It's no different. We're just making a call to do this via N8N. Down below, we're using the user, and this is where we're going to be inputting our prompt. So the prompt here was provide a summary of the top 5 e-commerce trends in 2024. Additionally, summarize the key regulatory changes impacting the tech industry this week. I'm not sure why it says e-commerce trends. This is probably just from way earlier, but we don't have to focus on that. So we're putting in the prompt right here after saying content, and the maximum amount of tokens, we just want to use 500. You could change the temperature as much as you would want, and anything else. This is really the things that we're focusing on right now. As you'll see, this is the model that we're using. Okay, so we're going to close this out. Once we finish that and makes the request, we're going to edit our fields and we're going to return a response. So we'll just put in response here. And then for the string, it's going to be the response from Perplexity. And you'll get that from right here. You'll literally just drag and drop it over. Okay, so that's how you can connect Perplexity to your workflow. It'll get a lot easier from here, I promise. So with SERP API, for example, it's essentially like Perplexity, allows you to do real-time research, but we're just using it through Google. So that's one of the most prominent features within SERP API is using their Google searches, and it's natively offered within N8N, so it's pretty easy to set up. So once we have our chat message received and the schedule trigger hooked up, we're not going to focus on this today, maybe in another video. Drop in the comments if you guys would like me to build that out, how to actually schedule this and get it to run every single day. You know, you can schedule it to run midnight every single night if you would like, but yeah, we won't dive into that too much. So for the SERP API, all we have to do is basically hook up our API key. Now, what you want to do is create an account on SERP API. You know, just search. We'll see. Let me back up. Let me just search it on Google regularly. So you'll see here that we have SERP API, Google Search API is what it says. So I'm going to sign it in. I already have an account, but you can sign up below. And we'll be using the Google Search API. So what you'll want to focus on is getting your API key up here. And you can just copy this and paste it. Let's go back and paste it into your credentials. So you'll just open this up and put it right here once you're creating a new credential. There's nothing else you'll have to do with it. The agent will understand how to pass data through into the SERP API and give it the query that it needs. So before we jump into prompts for the AI agent and giving it all the necessary instructions to do that, we'll focus on these last two. So Slack, all we're doing is just inputting all the data from these previous responses. So we'll be posting a message within Slack. I believe it was the create a message in a channel that I used. Let me check. So we'll see. Maybe it was post a message. Let's scroll down and see what we have here. Okay, it was send a message that I used. So pull that up, connect your account. It's pretty easy. All you have to do is just either give it your access token or you could just sign in regularly. Okay, yeah, it looks like you just sign in regularly to your Slack account. So it's a super easy setup. I know sometimes within Slack or other applications, it can be hard integrating and connecting your accounts with N8N in particular. So once we have our account, we're going to set the tool as automatic. The resource is just going to be message, operation as send, but you can see there's all these other cool features like deleting messages, searching messages, and so on. So we're sending the message to a channel. You could also send it to a specific user if you just want it to be a DM, but this is probably more applicable to companies and teams. So you have a channel specifically for news and you have all your other associates within it. So it can be pretty useful for all of them to see these updates so you don't have to send it to them manually. But the message text, we're just going to drag it from the Slack summarized message. I'll show you how we can get this query, but we'll just drag it over. So if I go to, okay, so this is actually an execution already. So I can't input anything in here right now, but you'll just drag it over, put it into here. Okay, now let's focus on this AI agent, or the tools agent, I should say. We're only giving it two different things that we have to input. One is the chat input. So I just dragged that and dropped it in there. And then the system message. So the system message, it's pretty lengthy, but it's super important that you have, if you're using tools agents, it's really, really important that you're instructing it properly to go down specific routes and go down other routes and take all this conditional logic, whenever necessary. So in my case, I'm having it go through Perplexity if I'm asking it to give me news research on my company. And if I want to do competitor analysis and research on my competitors, it's going to go through SERP API and just do regular Google searches. After that, it's going to go back to Claude and it's going to summarize all this for me and just put it into a nice, neat manner that I showed you within my channel where everything is listed out super nicely. We can even prompt this a little bit further to remove any emojis or anything like that. We're making AI work for us and tailoring it to our needs as much as possible. So up here, I'm saying you're an AI assistant tasked with analyzing chat inputs and determining the best course of action. Based on the input provided, you will decide whether to gather industry news and trends using Perplexity, conduct competitive analysis using SERP API, or both. Construct specific and clear prompts for the respective tools, ensuring all outputs are summarized and structured in a way that is legible and ready to share in Slack. Here's your process. You're going to analyze the input, So if the chat input asks for industry news, trends, or regulatory updates, prepare a detailed and clear query for Perplexity. So for example, that clear query was something like this. So provide a summary of the top 5 e-commerce trends in 2024. Additionally, summarize the key regulatory changes impacting the tech industry this week. Organize the information with clear headings and bullet points, and include the date of the information. So the AI agent, it's one getting the input from here. So I asked all this stuff right here, and then it's passing it through this agent and deciding which route and which path to take, and just tailoring the output a little bit if necessary for it to go down this Perplexity route. Okay, so let's go back in here and I'll share the rest of the prompt. So where were we? Okay, so if the chat input asks for competitor information or competitive analysis, prepare a focused query for SERP API. If the chat input includes both requests, handle both routes, and combine the outputs in a single organized summary. Obviously we want just one response in our Slack channel, not a whole bunch of different outputs. So generate tool specific prompts for Perplexity. I'm going into all these different things. Feel free to pause this video and you can write this out for yourself, or it may be even better to just give it to ChatGPT and tell it exactly what you need your agent prompted. But I actually created a new custom GPT that allows you to prompt these agents perfectly. And this is what I use to help me tailor this prompt for my needs specifically for this video and this demo. So you can get that in my new paid community. So I'm saying for SERP API, I'm just giving it some examples. And I've found that giving examples to your agents and your LLMs is probably the most important thing that you can do. You're taking your success rate of, an ideal, or basically an ideal output from, let's say, 80, 85%, all the way up to 99% by giving it examples of perfect outputs that you would like. So this is, kind of what I'm doing all the way at the bottom. So you can see here, I'm giving it some example inputs. What are the latest tech trends this week? Then you're going to use Perplexity. Input, what are Google and Apple working on? You should use SERP API for. Another example, input is tell me about tech trends and also what Google is launching. In this case, you should use both SERP API and also Perplexity. So let's go ahead and give it another input. Let's say, tell me about my competitors at Amazon. Was there any news this week about them? Okay, so we're just asking it pretty specific questions and we'll see what it comes back with. So as you can see, it's going down SERP API and not Perplexity. And that's kind of the biggest reason that we're using an AI agent, is to decide whether or not we should be going down specific routes and, saving us some limits on our tokens and, just reducing our API key. Okay, so we do have an error, but it looks like it's sent anyways. So we'll come into here and we'll see what it came back with. So it ran perfectly. It says Amazon competitor update week of December 4th, 2024. Hello team, here's the latest news about our competitor Amazon. Amazon launches Amazon Haul service. They introduced a new shopping service called Amazon Haul. The service offers items at a crazy low price. Amazon Haul is priced at $20 or less. Key takeaways, what to watch out for. So it's giving me a summary of, the most important things and what it found. So you can imagine if you're a small business and you have 2 other small business owners who are, directly in your market, who are direct competitors to your company, then all you have to do is you can just train your GPT or your assistant to basically say, here's the industry that I'm in and here's my competitors. Each week I need you to run on a schedule, maybe every Monday morning. I need you to give me a report of everything that they've done so far. So long as this is going to be on the internet, your companies or your competitors might not have all their information posted publicly on the internet, especially if you're a small business owner. But you can imagine if all this information was publicly available, it'd be super useful. But you kind of get the idea of what's possible when it comes to generating, reports and performing research for you with these AI agents. But anyways, that's it. I hope this inspires some ideas and allows you guys to, create your own systems and kind of build off what I've built here. So drop in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys are working on, or if you have any cool ideas for systems that I can maybe build off something like this for. But yeah, I really just wanted to share this with you guys. I think it could really inspire some really great systems, and also help you guys a lot just using something super simple like this, having it run once a week for you and generating reports. But anyways, that's it. If you guys are looking for the template for this system, you can get it in my new community. Link is down below. And if you're a business owner looking to drive revenue and create operational leverage, then you can apply to work with us down below in the description. Anyways, I hope you guys found some value in this video, and I will see you in the next one.